Hello guys, welcome to the first episode of Techpeeps Diaspora. I'm really excited to finally start this project, and today I have on the show Oliver Boamah, who is a software engineer at Serene. Welcome to the show, Oliver. Really nice to have you on the show and being my first guest on the show. And thanks a lot for agreeing to do this.
Yeah, it's really a pleasure to be here, Zach. I'm looking
Yeah,
talking to you.
yeah, thanks a lot. So, yeah, but there's one thing I'm really, not happy about, the fact that last weekend, we are in Berlin and you went to chill with us.
Oh man. Uh I mean I should have told you about it earlier. But yeah, it was really cool. Uh,
Yeah, so like, how was it? Like, it was the Afrobeat festival in Berlin, I guess.
yeah, it was really cool. Like all the major Afrobeat stars um in Africa they came, right? Like we had Whiskey, Starboy, right? We have the baddest Davido, we had Tiwa Savage, we had even from Ghana we had Sarkodie and Stonebwoy, right?
Oh, Sak was there?
Yeah, Sark was there, so it was massive.
Oh, I missed. No Better Boy, the
Um,
African.
Unfortunately not. Yeah.
Yeah, then I didn't miss much because like if Burna Boy wasn't on the
But
bill,
now,
I don't think I missed plenty. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So thanks a lot. I'm gonna catch up on the the chilling stuff. I mean, we are in Berlin, so Oliver and I like are in Berlin, and sometimes we hang out together. And just last weekend, he decided to brown me and just go and hang out by himself. But yeah, I'll have my payback. So Oliver, you moved to Berlin, if I'm right, like 3 months ago or
uh,
like 4 months
yeah, I was
ago.
roughly I think 4 months ago. Came here first March, so.
Okay, and how is like your stay in Berlin so far? Like, do you like Berlin?
Um, at the early stages, I was quite uncomfortable, because I had just moved into a new environment. The
Mm.
weather was pretty cold. It was like 2 degrees. But then, with time, I got adapted to the system. And yeah, so far I'm loving it here.
Like when I also moved here, I moved here in December, which was like during the winter, right? It was like really really cold, and like apart from the code, I think one thing that really made it like hard to settle in was like missing the Ghanaian food. Like, did you have like a similar experience?
Oh yeah, like I'm a Kumasi boy, right? Like I've stayed most of my life in Kumasi, right? So um, I like fufu, I like diho, you understand? I like gobe. So when I came here, and then personally, I don't cook that much, right? Like, so when I came here, and then I wasn't getting gobe and fufu and tz to eat, especially the first 2 weeks. I mean, I just didn't like the feeling at all. But then we adjusted to the system.
Yeah, like I wonder how like that's gonna be because like in my first month it was like I was really missing home food, and fortunately for me I found this Ghanaian restaurant in Berlin. And yeah, like when they brought the wache, like it was like the happiest
Yeah.
day in my life, like in a really
I
long
actually
time.
went there
'Cause
to Didipa.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
the place. Like they have like really good food to check out. So yeah, the adjustments from Ghana to Berlin, like you moved from Ghana to like a new
Yeah.
country, like a new city. You joined a new company, but still like the same role, right? Still a software
Yeah.
engineer. Um, and yeah, like what has the adjustment been in terms of, apart from the food, like professionally. And maybe first of all, you'd like want to tell me like a little bit about Serene, your company, what they do, and like, I mean, what is it about them that's you know made you want to work for them? And like, what's your typical day like? So if I want to have a glimpse of, a day in the life of Oliver, what does that look like?
Okay, great. So first off, Serene is a tech startup based in Berlin. We also have offices in Potsdam. Potsdam is like um, um, a city nearby Berlin, or not too far from Berlin. Um, Serene, what we do basically is we develop analytics software that's being used by other software development teams across Europe. So this analytics software that we build, right? When
Mm,
a software development team adapts it, right? They integrate it into their system. It's able to help them know the areas of improvement within their team, and then it's able to help them identify, where there are glitches so that they can improve their whole efficiency within their development team. Um,
mhm,
so yeah, it's great. And then what I like especially about Serene is the fact that when I was, I'm a backend guy. My stack was Python, Django. So when I was looking for a company here in Germany, I also wanted a company that's already that already uses the stack that I'm used to, right? And at the
mhm,
same time, I wanted like a role that is challenging enough, right? So that
mhm.
was what interested me about Siri.
Nice, nice. So like on a regular day, what does Oliver's day look like as a software engineer? Like, let's say take a typical Monday, for instance.
Okay, so I mean, I wake up sometimes around 7, sometimes around 8. So the first thing that I do, I'll just like go to the washroom, brush and stuff like that. Then I'll go to the kitchen. Normally, I have drinks that I'll put. So like maybe I'll take some orange juice or some apple juice. I'll try and
Uh-huh.
fry some egg and get some bread with it. Just have like small breakfast, and I like to plan my day ahead, right? So I just have this notes app on my laptop that I kind of schedule my day that okay, this is what I'm going to work on for today and stuff like that, right? So at Serene, we don't have a lot of meetings at all. So on Mondays, we do have a short 30 minutes stand up meeting, and then on Thursdays, so we do have stand up meeting, just 30 minutes, right? So um, and then that's even around 11. But before 11, I mean, I start working around 9. Yeah. So I start working around 9, around 1 p.m. to I try and have like a lunch break. Most of the times, like I don't have lunch per se, but just take a break from work and just chill, go on social media, see what's happening there. About 40 minutes or so to 1 hour. Then I come back and then I continue working to like 4 or 5.
Mm.
And then I come again.
Oh, cool. So, how like large is your team? Because like you mentioned that your stand-up meeting. So you don't have stand-up meetings every day. You have it like on Monday and
Yeah.
Thursday, and that takes like 30 minutes. And I was wondering, because for my team, like it takes like barely 15 minutes, but we do it every day. So I kind of understand if you guys have it like once or twice a week, then 30 minutes is like okay. But how big is your team? Like
Yeah.
how
Um,
many
I mean, like even
engineers
at
on your
30
team?
minutes, honestly, it doesn't. reach the 30 minutes most of the times. It's just like s- maybe like 15 minutes, then we are done. So the team is not so big. And what we do is like we've been divided ourselves into smaller teams, right? So already Serene, we
Mm-hmm.
are around 35 to 40 people in total. So like it's a really
Okay.
small team relatively. And then even inside this whole group, we have smaller teams. And then for
Mm-hmm.
my team, right, we are around eight. So I mean it's just it's not so much big of a team. So when we have these kind of meetings, we're able to move faster.
Okay. So like one thing, like I think one thing that I really want to know, is, yeah, like Oliver from Ghana, how did you decide to make the switch from working in Ghana, to like moving over to Berlin? And yeah, like what influenced that decision? Like just moving from Ghana, packing all your stuff to a new country where you knew nobody, and like I'm gonna work in Germany.
So back in Ghana, before I left, I was working at Farmer. Um, Farmer is a pretty good company, by the way. In my opinion, I think is one of the best tech companies to work at in Ghana. Um, So I mean, life was good there. The my colleagues were great, the team was great, and stuff like that. But personally, I wanted to travel, right? Like I've always wanted to, move outside the country, explore, right? So after some time at M Pharma, I initially the idea was to look for master's degree programs, right, here in Germany, and then maybe like Canada, UK, stuff like that, right? So I was looking at their programs, looking at their tuition fees and stuff like that. Then I found out that for Germany it's actually tuition free, and then the schools are really good. So and then per my research, I got to find out that I mean Germany is actually it has the largest economy in Europe, and there are a lot of software engineering positions in Germany, especially Berlin. And there's a whole lot of stuff going on in Berlin alone that was massive. Um, so, per my research, I found out that like if I want to travel, right, and then considering my career, like if I want to go to anywhere in Europe, it's either I go to Berlin or like I go to um, London, right? That's like for Europe, but um, so yeah, I I decided to like apply for master's degree here in Germany because the tuition fees were no tuition fees. So I actually went to my university, got recommendation letters from my lecturers, got my transcripts, all this kind of stuff. I did research about the schools. I compiled the schools I wanted to apply to and everything, right? So then I was on Twitter, and then there was this guy, this Nigerian guy, and he was actually an Android developer here in Germany. And I was talking with him like, I'm working in Ghana and from I mean like work is pretty good, stuff is pretty good, but like I've always wanted to travel, so I want to like I know it's hard to get a job before you come, right? It's difficult, so I mean, if I do apply for a school, maybe it won't be so hard. So, and he actually told me, nah, it's considering my experience and my skills, he thinks that I should try applying for roles because like nowadays it's easier to get a role um, from Africa if like you have the right skills and right experience. So yeah, I gave it a trial, and then within 1 month, right, like I, I mean, like I got I go I got two places actually, like one here in Berlin, one the other in Munich. But the one in Munich, I think we had like two interviews to go, and then the one in Berlin they were much faster, right? And then once they gave me the offer, I did a lot more research about Berlin, like the fact that a lot of people speak English here, though like German is like the native language, the official language, right? And then Berlin is very multicultural and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, let's just go with Berlin, and then I ended the other interviews with the one from Munich. Yeah, so
Yeah. It's like you know, 1 month like was really fast. At least I think like you um had to be like really good to be able to get offers from Ghana like within 1 month. Like what was that process like? First like looking for a job, were there any specific channels you used to apply for these jobs? How did you find these jobs? And most like I think one thing that a lot of people would be curious about is like how is these like the interviews with these companies, like were they similar to interviews you had with companies in Ghana? You mentioned for instance like Pharma. How different was this process?
so um I think what held me was I kind of stood on the shoulders of giants, right? So I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of YouTube videos where they kind of explain how to, you know, do like a German standard CV, right? Like a German standard cover letter, right? All those um, um, small important things. So I kind of like crafted my CV to be how German employers would want your CV to look like. Um, 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 I did the same for my cover letter, and then I actually used LinkedIn Jobs for the applications, right?
Okay.
I actually sent in a lot of applications, so I just hop on to LinkedIn Jobs. I and then I use LinkedIn a lot, right? So I just did like the filter, Germany, Python, Django, Flask, like those kind of stack, Postgres, SQL, those kind of stack. And then I got recommendations about the kind of companies that were hiring, and then I just started applying. So I applied a lot every day, and I think about 2 weeks in, then I started getting some interview offers here.
And the interviews, like how was the interviews though, like with
Um,
these
I mean,
companies?
the interview was quite different. At least as compared to um, M Pharma, right? Um, with M Pharma, um, the so with M Pharma, the first process was like getting to know each other, right? So they'll basically ask you about your background, your experiences, who you are, introduce yourself, stuff like that, right? So it's a short 30 minute intro interview, and then the main one, that is the next stage, would be um the a coding project, so a take home project. They actually give like a backend project, like go and implement a REST API. They'll give you all the functional requirements and stuff like that. Yeah. Um, and then after that, you get like a panel interview, and then there'll be a last interview. Yeah. But with Serene, the first one, right? It was. I think we spent the. I didn't know what to expect. Um, we spent the first 10 minutes just getting to know ourselves. It was myself and then the head of engineering and then one engineering manager. They were like, oh, they saw my CV, they think my experience looks great, so they just wanted to get to know me, stuff like that. So that was just the first 10 minutes. And then they were like, okay, we have a problem for you to solve. And then there is an algorithm and data structures question, like just popped.
Oh
So I wasn't
goodness.
expecting it at all. But the good thing was that, of course, I knew um, nowadays, like if you want to get, these kind of roles, especially, to relocate, you have to practice your lead code. You have to practice your data structures and algorithms. You have to solve questions on lead code and algo expert and stuff like that. So I actually bought algo expert, the course, right, and I was going through the questions and how to solve those kind of complex algorithm questions, right? So um, when during the interview, like I had got some practice under my belt, so I would say it went well, right? And then
Well, you got the job, so
yeah, um, yes, and then I was called for a second interview. I think like 3 or 4 days later, right? It was pretty short. They were like, okay, we want to move you to the second stage. And for the second stage, it was very interesting. It was actually a code review project. With my previous company,
mm,
Pharma, it was like they give the functional requirements and then you build this. You take this project home, you build it, you submit it. But this one, they give you the project itself, the code itself. They will be like, okay, review the code, right? And then it was very interesting because they intentionally left a lot of um important stuff in there for you to catch, right? So they actually wanted to know, how experienced you are, like how good your fundamentals, right? And then how I would say like experience you are overall in terms of building production level applications, because during the code review you could find out that there were opportunities for SQL injection, you know there were like there was like redundant code. You get, there was like code that was intentionally not optimized, you get, but the funny thing was that the code worked. The code worked, but there was no
yeah.
validation, right? So if you try the code with some edge case, right, it will fail. They intentionally built it that way just to gauge how you're able to fish out those things. And I actually enjoyed it. Um, they Yeah, so I think they gave me like 2 or 3 days to submit it. Yeah, and then I was able to submit it within the requested time frame. Yeah. So yeah, that was it. So it was just two interviews, and then I got the role.
Really interesting with the like the code review thing. I think I had a similar experience with one of the companies I interviewed with, Automatic. The guys that created WordPress, and they had like a similar structure where they onboard you on this project, and you have to figure out, like, you have to review a code and you have to figure out if there were any
Yeah.
security vulnerabilities or those stuff. And I thought that was like an interesting way of like hiring people. So you spoke about like your like working at M Pharma, which is like I know M Pharma, and I know some of the guys. They're like a really good company, like really good guys and stuff. Like, did you always know that you wanted to be like a software engineer? Like growing up, like were you one of those people that were like geeks, and when they came out of the womb, they were like, I want to be a
So
software
the
engineer.
funny thing is that I growing up, I didn't know I wanted to become a software engineer because I mean I was staying at Kumasi, and when you stay at Kumasi, you don't hear even the word software engineer. You don't know what it is. Or you don't even hear the word programming. You get. So that time when we were
Yeah.
kids, we got attracted to computers because of games, right? Like Road Rash, V Corp. Zuma, this kind of games, right? And
Mm.
that just like we just go into contests because of games. So fast forward, it was actually when I moved to SHS. I went to Laboni High School, by the way, in Accra.
Oh,
Yeah, I
you went
worked
to
well.
Laboni. You didn't know that. My
Oh, that.
sister went to Laboni. Uh, yeah, and even my little sister like is currently at
Oh
Laboni. I didn't know
yeah,
you
I'm
went to
a early
Laboni.
born boy. Yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
so it was actually Laboni that I heard about programming. Um, and then there was a robotics club in Laboni. They were doing some kind of programming, but I never joined that robotics club. But that was when I started hearing things like Python, but I didn't even understand what it
Mm.
meant. I just heard it. You get. I didn't really know even what a programming language really does. I just heard that, oh, these robotics guys, oh, they do Python and stuff like that. That was all. So it was after school, and then I was still into computers, right? And I was
Mm.
using computers to like edit videos, create Microsoft Word, PowerPoint presentations, Excel, those basic stuff. So nothing really fancy. So when I completed SHS, then um, now you have to choose a program, right? You have to find something to do in a university. And the funny thing was that, I mean, growing up, they always wanted me to be a doctor, right? My mother wanted me to be a doctor. My father wanted me to be a doctor because, if even when I was a kid, when you asked me what do you want to be when you grow up, I would say I wanted to be a doctor because that was what everyone was saying. And then if you are intelligent
Mm.
small, right, as a kid, they'll be like, oh, you'll be a doctor, and be like, oh yeah, yeah, I'll be a doctor. Um, so it was crazy. But during SHS and after SHS, I knew that, of course, I'm not going to do medicine. Even if I wanted to do medicine, I didn't have the grades for it because, in Ghana, you require like 7 8 days to do. Yeah. So I didn't even have the grades for that. Um, yeah, but looking back, I'm glad I didn't even have the grades for it. Yeah. So there was this guy who was my mate back in Laboni. He bought our waiting forms, right, and got to university the same year we completed high school. And then I was to go the following year, right? So I got into touch with him, and he was studying computer science. I was like, oh, cool.
Mm.
And I asked him like, what is it about? And he was like, oh, there are many um, there are many branches. Like we have like software engineering, we have like networking, we have AI. But according to him, in Ghana, of course, software engineering, you will likely not get a job. So he wants to major in networking so that after school he'll get to work at maybe like MTN, Airtel. So that was kind of like the dream because according to him there were no software engineering jobs, and then most of the companies they buy off the shelf software right from outside. Um so I mean, like, what when I talked to him, right, and I also did my research, right, like I looked at some of the other engineering courses, some of the other science courses. I mean, like, some of them were really interesting, but what made me stick to computer science, and also like I also like preferred computer engineering, was the fact that, I mean, like, even the name computer science, there was a science with computer in it, right? And I loved computers, right? So, and then computer engineering too, there was an engineering with computer inside, so it wasn't deep at all. I mean, like,
Mm.
it just had computer in it. So after doing a lot of research, then I found out that the computer engineering, they had a lot of electrical engineering modules in it, right? It had a lot of hardware related
Mhm,
stuff in it, right? And then computer science had a lot of
mhm.
software, right? So at the end of the day, I after the research, I think the computer science caught my fancy. Um, I liked what I read. Those were the times that you look up on YouTube and then you see videos of Mark Zuckerberg and they are sharing his story how he made Facebook. You know, he was this teenager. You know, like uh, Bill Gates built Microsoft. He's a billionaire. Like you know, so we all wanted to, you know, we all wanted to be like these guys, right? So yeah, so I settled on computer science. I applied and I got in. Yeah, and yeah, so computer science. When I chose computer science, and then I got into the university, that was where like my passion for programming really began. I went
UNAIR,
in
right?
the
I remember
University of
you
Energy
went
and
to,
Natural Resources in Sunyani.
and like if I remember correctly, I think just about the time that you were in school. I don't remember what year, but you joined co-train, which was
Yeah,
like
I
my
did.
boot camp
I
where
did.
I also used to work.
Yeah, I did. It was a very interesting chapter of my life because um I think when I was in like level 200 or so, yeah, probably level 200 or 300. Um,
Mm,
so co-train, that time it was called Slick Job, right? They came to our campus. Richard came, with some others, and they introduced Slick Job. They introduced Slick Job as, you know, this coding bootcamp that you can join, and then they would help you gain like practical skills, right, that you need in the industry. And at that time,
mhm,
I was learning coding on my own. You get, and then most, you know, in university, right?
mhm,
Though the lecturers they try as much as possible to let us do some practical work, but it's not enough. It's really like
mhm.
it's mostly theory. So I needed like that practical training. So code training sounded at that time. Sleep job it sounded good. I signed up and yeah, I got into it.
I I don't remember if we had like any much interaction like whilst you were there, because I remember at that time like
Yeah,
you were doing Android and Awa was
yeah,
taking like the Android classes, and like one thing I found interesting was like after that I saw that you started this project which was called Android Train, and I think we were
yeah,
doing something similar,
yeah,
training other
yeah.
people to build.
Yes.
Like how did you like come up with that idea, and how did that go? I'm guessing like you were kind of inspired by
Yeah,
what like coaching was doing.
yes. So it was a mixture of several things. Of course, like I drew inspiration from what coaching was doing at the time. But then I had this friend, Sparrow. He was also into Android development, right? And then he's actually a good teacher.
Mhm,
Like he's really good at making people understand things, right? So we were in class and then we just both came up with the idea that I mean, I had done code train. I was good with, you know, like developing Android apps. He was also good. Um, but then what we saw at uni is that like most of the students they weren't good, you know, building, you know, practical stuff, right? So we came up with this idea, like just like code train, right? Like why don't we build something that is like university focused, right? Like UNE focused, because I mean we are students of UNE. We know what they are learning. We know how
mhm.
their what their schedules are, right? So we know what their challenges are. So let's craft a program that would really like help them to gain the necessary practical skills. Yeah, and then we started Android Train. Yeah, and then it was really good actually. We were able to train a lot of students actually. Yeah.
And after uni, you, if I remember correctly, like you joined like M Pedigree. Was that like your first software engineering job?
So I actually did national services at Pedigree. Yeah. My first
Mm-hmm.
job was actually in I don't know if it qualifies as a job, but when I was in like level 200, right, I did an internship
Mm.
at a software company in Kumasi. Just get like 2 3 months of experience, and then right after school, right, I joined a startup, a most incubated startup, as East Legon, right, yeah. But then I was at when the national service started, then I moved to M Pedigree. So I did like my whole year national service at M Pedigree.
Then from M Pedigree, that's when you
No,
joined
from
M-Farm.
M Pedigree, I actually moved to Plan the Five before M Farm. Yeah.
It seems like a roller coaster, right? So the university kid that was like didn't even know wanted to be a software engineer, but because of like computers and playing games, enrolled into a computer science program and started like learning coding on your own. How was it like? I know most people, at least like when I talk to a lot of like upcoming software developers, like most people find it challenging, like with their self-taught approach, like learning to like program on their own. And there's a difference between like learning to program on your own and actually becoming like employable. Like what helped you bridge that gap between like learning on your own and actually getting yourself to a position where you could actually be
So
employable?
it all started when I was in school, right? At the university. Um, I think it's actually a good thing that I was studying computer science, right? So that's a plus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying if you want to get into software engineering, you have to go and get a computer science degree, but it helped me, right? Because then again, the courses that I was doing, some of them were related to, what you do as a software engineer, right? I was learning stuff like data structures and algorithms, system analysis, design, databases, operating systems, all those like computer science courses, and it helps you become a better software engineer, in my opinion. Um, but then I think what really um, um, helped me be better and know what's going on in the industry and like how to adapt to the industry was the fact that I actually built things, right? Like it wasn't major things at all.
Mm-hmm.
It was just small projects, right? So I wasn't just reading books and that was it, or like just watching tutorials and that's it. I was proactive. I built small projects. I'll put them on GitHub. Of course, I signed up for coaching
Mm-hmm.
to coaching. They gave me some projects to implement. I'll do it. I'll submit it. I'll get feedback. Um, and at the same time, I was talking to people in the industry. I started making connections, right? So
Mm-hmm.
um, I, I I was on LinkedIn. I made a lot of connections on LinkedIn. I started, DMing people, asking them what's going on in the industry. I started researching a lot about the tech industry in Ghana, like what the
Mm-hmm.
who the tech companies are, um, the kind of technologies that they use, the kind of products that they are building, stuff like that, right? Just to help me prepare. Yeah, so I think by the time that I got out of university, I had a pretty good idea about what the tech ecosystem was in Ghana, right? And then like, how to best position myself. Yeah.
We don't have any more time, but yeah, I feel like there's still like a lot, a lot of questions and a lot of stuff like I'm still curious to learn about from your journey. Yeah, I'd like to have you like on the show again if it's possible, like another time
Yeah.
just to pick it up because um, yeah, there's still a lot in terms of like um, you know it seems more or less like a compound interest, like things that everything, all your experience was like building up from somewhere up to a point until like you got to the position where you felt ready to apply for like opportunities outside of Ghana. And when it got to that time, it wasn't so difficult. And I think like there's a lot within those processes that people, like in Africa back home, like could learn from, like especially people also who want to like get into similar positions and opportunities. And I'd like to like have you again on the show to maybe go deeper into those things. But thanks a lot for like doing this, and I hope that like a lot of people can learn from your experience. I'm sure like there would be people who would be curious. Okay, Oliver, like, can I DM you? Can I message you somewhere? Like, yeah, I would be happy to talk to you. Like, maybe get some mentorship and stuff. Like, are you open to some things like that? And how do like people like connect with you
Yeah,
if
sure.
they would like something like that?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. If you want to get into contact with me, you can just search for Oliver Boamah on LinkedIn. Just send me a message on LinkedIn, and we can take it from there. But try and be as specific as possible on what you want me to help you with. Yeah,
No, nobody's gonna ask you if you are going to invite them to the next Afrobeat festival for sure. Oliver, thanks a lot for coming on, and yeah, hopefully we catch up again some
sure,
weekend
sure.
and
Thank you
have
so
fun.
much for having me.